Have you ever walked into a place and felt that something was wrong? An empty bus, passengers with cold stares, and a silence so heavy it feels like the air itself has stopped. The windows show streets you don't recognize. The signs flicker in a strange language. And when you try to get off, you realize you're not where you're supposed to be. They say some people accidentally cross over to another plane, a dark parallel world, known only by a name whispered in forums, stories, and nightmares. Sete Além, no one knows where it is, but everyone who's been there says the same thing. They were never the same again. And the scariest part, you might be just one step away from getting there, without even realizing it. Brazil is a land filled with stories that blur the line between the real and the impossible. From north to south, every corner hides a legend, a whisper of the supernatural, a shadow that refuses to fade. But among all these tales, there's one that feels different, more modern, more psychological, and somehow more disturbing. This is the story of Sete. Unlike ancient legends passed down through generations, Sete Além was born in the depths of the internet, appearing in anonymous posts, eerie confessions, and strange discussions that no one could tell if were jokes or warnings. The first mentions appeared in the early 2000s, when users began sharing bizarre experiences with buses, elevators, highways, even phone calls that seemed to connect our world to another place. But what exactly is Sete Além? No one really knows. Some say it's a parallel dimension, a dark reflection of our world, where everything looks the same, but wrong. People have the same faces, but empty eyes. Buildings stand in the same places, but look abandoned for decades. It's as if time stopped and life was drained out of everything. Others believe Sete Além is a kind of spiritual limbo, a purgatory for lost souls, trapped between reality and oblivion. And there are those who think it's all in the mind, a collective hallucination born from the chaos of the internet and fear itself. But whatever its origin, every story about Sete Além shares one chilling detail. It always begins with something ordinary, a bus ride, a routine trip, a wrong phone number, and by the time you realize something's off, it's already too late. It all starts with what seems like an ordinary story. A man says he was heading home after work, taking the same bus he always took at the same time as usual. But that night, something felt different. The driver wasn't the usual one. The passengers were eerily silent, and the air inside the bus felt heavy, thick, as if every breath took effort. Then he noticed the route had changed. The streets looked darker, the lamps flickered, and the street signs showed names he had never seen before, names that didn't exist on any map. When he finally asked where they were, the driver turned to him with empty eyes and a hoarse voice. Sete Além. The man laughed nervously, thinking it was a joke. But when he looked out the window, his blood ran cold. The world outside looked the same, but wrong. The houses were in ruins, the sky had a sickly color, and the people on the sidewalks stood still. watching the bus go by, slowly, silently. When he tried to get off, no one stopped him. Only the stares of the other passengers followed him, blank, as if they already knew what was about to happen. As he stepped onto the sidewalk, he felt the ground cold beneath his feet, the air still, and realized something was terribly wrong. No sound, no smell, no sign of life. He started walking, trying to find something familiar. But the more he moved, the more he understood he was trapped in a twisted mirror of his own world. At every corner, he saw distorted versions of familiar places. The bakery, the taxi stand, the corner bar, all decayed, as if time had died there long ago. Desperate, he ran back to the bus stop. When the same bus appeared again, the driver stared at him, motionless. The man got in, shut his eyes, and begged for it to end. When he opened them, he was back in his neighborhood. The clock showed the same time he had boarded. No time had passed. After that, other stories began to surface. People who entered elevators and stopped at floors that don't exist, who answered phone calls from unknown numbers, voices whispering, "Don't try to come back," who saw familiar faces in the crowd watching them, but with pitch-black eyes. Some tell of receiving text messages with coordinates leading to deserted places, or buses that appear at night on routes that were shut down years ago. And always the same pattern, an unexpected crossing, a sense of reality slipping away, and the same whispered name, Sete Além. But the most disturbing part, no one can ever prove anything. Photos taken their turn blurry, videos vanish from phones, and witnesses say that whenever they try to tell their story, they start having the same dream of a dead city covered in mist where voices call their names. And sometimes the call comes when you least expect it. Among all the stories, some never leave the minds of those who've heard them. One of them is about a young woman who, after leaving a party, got into the wrong taxi. The driver didn't say a single word the whole ride. The streets were empty, the radio hissed with static, and the meter showed reversed numbers, as if it were counting backward. When she looked out the window, she realized the city looked older. The lights were dim and yellowish, the cars looked decades out of date, and everything felt trapped in another time. Frightened, she asked the driver to stop. He turned to her slowly, smiling, but it wasn't a human smile. "You're already in Sete Além," she fainted. When she woke up, she was lying on the shoulder of an empty road. No taxi, no signal on her phone, and in her pocket a crumpled note, written by hand, just one sentence: "Coming back has a price." Stories like this keep repeating, and the more people try to investigate, the stranger things get. Some say Sete Além feeds on curiosity. It draws in those who doubt. That the more you talk about it, the closer you get to crossing over. Entire online forums have disappeared after users claimed they were being watched. Profiles vanished without a trace. And in one of the oldest threads, a moderator left a final message before deleting everything: "Don't try to find it. They already know who you are." What makes Sete Além so disturbing is that there's no proof, but also no explanation. Is it a collective hallucination, a glitch in perception, or a tear in reality itself? A rift between worlds that only a few stumble into, and even fewer escape from. Maybe Sete Além isn't a place at all. Maybe it's a frequency, an invisible echo of our own world. And if you've ever felt out of place, seen strange faces in the crowd, or stepped into an empty bus where time seemed to stop, maybe, just maybe, you've come closer to Sete Além than you think. Perhaps the scariest thing about Sete Além isn't what people say, but what we feel when we hear their stories. Bet chill running down your spine. That sudden shiver, like someone or something is watching you from a place you can't see. Sete Além plays with our minds. It makes us question what's real and what's born from the collective fear we all share. Is it a parallel dimension, a glitch in the system, or just a reflection of our deepest fears, projected into the darkness of the internet? Maybe all the answers are wrong, or maybe all of them are right. Because if fear can create monsters, maybe it can also create worlds. Worlds like Sete Além, where time stands still, voices whisper your name, and the feeling of not belonging becomes far too real to ignore. So, next time you're alone on a bus, walking down an empty street, or in an elevator that seems to take too long to reach your floor, look around, pay attention to the details. And if something feels off, if the lights flicker, if faces look unfamiliar, remember this warning: you might not be here anymore. And if that ever happens, maybe you've finally found your way to Sete Além. If this story gave you chills, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell, because here on Urban Secrets, we dive deep into the dark corners of the world, where myths, legends, and truths blur into the shadows. Who knows what secret we'll uncover next?